former Fulton County District Attorney and Sheriff.
Formerly a judge, and he knows a little bit about how these things go.
From Mohawk Valley, legal eagle, lawman.
He is the Sheriff of Fulton County, New York. Just such an amazing guy.
This is the Rich Giardino Show, where the Constitution, crime, and politics meet.
Hey, welcome to the Rich Giardino Show, where the Constitution, crime, and politics meet. We have a special edition of the Rich Giardino Show today. We have Bruce Blakeman, Nassau County Executive, and the Republican candidate for governor. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for me to have Bruce here. He and I have known each other about 8 months, and I will tell you that he's what New York needs to turn this state around. He's pro-police, he's pro-citizen, he's pro-constitution. So with that, we'll move forward. Thank you very much for making time to be on the show. I really appreciate it, County Exec.
My pleasure, Sheriff. Always good to be with you.
Good to be with you. Yeah, right now we're getting more and more restrictions under the Second Amendment, and especially in New York on lawful gun owners' rights. And you have been very proactive in your county of Nassau, and I thought it'd be a good opportunity to tell us a little bit about what you've done for law enforcement and what you've done for Nassau before we get into the meat of the Second Amendment and what you can do for the citizens who are lawful gun owners in the state.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Sheriff. So when I came into office, my county's larger than 8 states in population. We have 110,000 more Democrats than Republicans. I promised that I would clean up all of our neighborhoods, that we would support the men and women of law enforcement, and that we would enforce the law. So in the last couple of years, I've hired close to 1,000 new police officers, corrections officers, and probation officers. We are in probably the most comprehensive agreement with ICE of any county in America. As a result, I've removed 2,000 illegal migrants with criminal records from my county and from this region and from this state, ranging from crimes from attempted murder, rape, robbery, burglary, carjacking, drug dealing, gang activity. And U.S. News and World Report just named my county the safest county in America. Not the safest county in New York, the safest county in America, because we take law and order very seriously. And think about it. My county is on the border of New York City. So that's no easy trick. It's kind of hard. And of course, when I came into office, the wait to get a gun permit was about 6 to 9 months. I cut the red tape and made sure that we had enough people to process the applications. And now you have to wait about 2 or 3 weeks just for the background check on a gun permit. So we made a lot of strides, and we've processed probably over 20,000 gun permits in the last couple of years. So we've made a lot of improvements. I'm a gun owner myself and belong to a gun club. So I don't think anybody has to worry where I stand on the issues that are important to people who care about the Second Amendment.
And every time there's a shooting or every time there's something violent, the reaction of the Democratic legislature and the Democratic governor is to restrict more rights to law-abiding citizens. And it'd be such a breath of fresh air to have you in as a governor so that these things will be vetoed. But what are some of the targets that you want to be sure don't get passed that the Dems have in store to limit gun ownership or to punish? You know, it's really punishing people who lawfully possess firearms.
Well, you know, Rich, the Democrats, led by Kathy Hochul, want to take all of your guns away. So their motives are very transparent. They're against gun ownership. And God forbid if Kathy Hochul were to get 4 more years, which she will not, I will beat her. But if she got 4 more years in office, you would see it almost impossible to own a gun in New York because of the restrictions that they put on, the regulations, the places you can carry and not carry. Down here in the metropolitan area of New York, it's almost meaningless to have a carry permit because she's got so many restrictions on where you can carry in a metropolitan area or a suburban county. Those restrictions are very, very prohibitive in carrying because they say you can't carry near a school. Well, there's schools on like every other block. You can't carry here. You can't carry there. So Kathy Hochul would be a disaster for the Second Amendment if she gets reelected, and her and Zohran Mamdani, the commie, together, they would try and take your guns away from you in New York State. We've got to stop that. But I have a bone to pick with Second Amendment supporters and people who support gun ownership. You don't vote in the numbers that you should. You say your vote doesn't count. You say you don't want the government to have information about you. Listen, if you got a social security number, the government has all the information they need to know about you. Having an ability to register to vote and going out to vote will not give any more information to the government. But you've got to get off the couch and vote. Otherwise, you're going to see a material difference in our state with respect to gun ownership. And that's one of the reasons why I'm running for governor, is because if Kathy Hochul and Zohran Mamdani get their way, this will become a social democrat state and probably more of a communist state. And they want to take your guns away from you. And I won't let that happen. So get out there, vote for Blakeman for governor. If you're not registered to vote, get off the couch, register to vote. And if you are registered to vote, you got to go out there and vote, because this is a very important campaign. This is a very important election, probably the most important in the history of New York.
One thing is, we believe that almost 100,000 individuals in New York who own firearms, rifles, shotguns, handguns, lawfully possessed handguns, aren't registered. So you're spot on with encouraging people to register, because, like you say, there's a fear that they're going to know what I own, but they already know what you own because they track what you buy. So you're spot on. And part of the point of this program, limited program, is to encourage people to get out, register, and definitely vote. Because without the votes, you can't do it, Mr. Blakeman. But what can happen is, we know how close Lee Zeldin came last time. And if you could get 50% of those people who are gun owners to get out and register that aren't registered, that can make a difference if they vote for you.
And if you're registered, go vote. It takes a short period of your time. And look, I'm not running for governor necessarily for the people that are watching this show. I'm running for governor for the people who are watching this show that have kids and grandkids and want them to grow up in a free state. That's why I'm running for governor, to protect your kids and your grandkids so they can grow up in New York with the freedoms that we enjoyed growing up, that Kathy Hochul, Zohran Mamdani, and the Democrats want to take away from us. And I want to tell you, President Trump just yesterday, Rich, endorsed me for the 6th time. And he specifically mentioned my support for the Second Amendment in his endorsement of me.
And that's so important. He did pretty well in New York, for a Republican. And I think that carries a lot of weight, especially upstate. One of the things that when I was younger, and probably when you were younger as well, when we were in high school, kids would bring their rifles and shotguns to shop to work on the stock, and they had ROTC in schools. They had more activities of that nature. Now, we're not talking about bringing guns to school, but what we are saying is we teach upstate, we teach responsible gun ownership. We teach kids early. They get to go hunting with their families. They go target practice. It's a different culture than New York, and the limited number of firearms issued in New York City compared to upstate. We just, we can't penalize the law-abiding citizens. Well, less than 1%, 1/6 of 1% of lawful gun owners commit a crime. 1/6 of 1%. When I was a judge, Bruce, it was funny because I would say to people, well, did you follow the mandatory clips? Your magazine, you didn't have too many bullets in there, did you? Did you have your permit? No. 99% of the people I dealt with who were using guns in crimes or killing people or robbing people, if they had firearms, they weren't lawfully possessed, either because the person had a felony or mentally ill, or because or because the person possessed a firearm that's not lawful anyways, you know? So you make a good point. Tell us a little bit about the frightening things that they want to do with the excise tax and insurance and taxing your ammunition. And all that's designed to prevent law-abiding citizens from owning. But you tell us a little bit about what you would view it if it came across your desk, any of this stuff.
Well, listen, you're absolutely right. The Supreme Court has said that they can't outlaw gun ownership. So now they're trying to find every way around it. Tax it, make you insure your weapons, register your weapons, limit where you can go with your weapons. That's the big thing. The limitation on where you could go. When they had the limitation that you couldn't bring a firearm to a house of worship, well, with all the violence that goes on, especially with the anti-Semitism, that's exactly where you want to take a gun to protect yourself. In a church or a synagogue where we've seen attacks on Christianity, attacks on Jewish people, that's exactly where you want to have a gun to protect yourself when you go to a house of worship. And luckily, the Supreme Court has said you can't restrict that. But there's so many other restrictions. And getting back to another theme that you had earlier, what you said, Rich, is so true, because I grew up in a suburban village on the border of New York City, primarily blue-collar town. And our high school had a rifle club where you were taught to shoot. And we never had one incident, not one incident at all, in all the years that we had a rifle club. And now, of course, they've gotten rid of the rifle club because they want to be PC.
Well, I will tell you this. I've had both John Lott, who's nationally known on gun rights, and also Dan Wass on this show. And I asked them in all their research, did they ever find one person who saw the sign that said, no guns allowed in this school, no guns allowed in this place of worship, that stopped the shooting? No, they don't care. If they don't follow the law, they're not going to care about a sign that restricts where they can take it. And that's what happens. They know that people in houses of worship, people in malls, people in parks aren't allowed to have guns, so they know they're easy targets. And so it's your philosophy is spot on that you know, why are we punishing the law-abiding citizens? And I did want to mention, go ahead.
Yeah, Rich, I mean, just to clarify the point that you're making, you know, the prohibition down here, downstate, where, you know, we live in a metropolitan area. A lot of people use public transportation, subways and buses and trains. The prohibition about carrying on public transportation, that's exactly where you want to carry, especially if it's late at night.
Yeah, we see all these incidents and people being shoved into the tracks, people being robbed, people being raped on trains, you know, not only in our state and other places. And still that mentality of standing down, don't want to get involved, don't have any weapon, you know? So you're right about that. I do want to mention one thing. I was an assistant DA in Nassau County before you became county executive, but you are in your second term. And one of the things that you didn't mention is not only did you add so many corrections officers and law enforcement officers, you did it without increasing taxes dramatically, or even in many places of your county, which is a trick that New York is not used to. Everything they want to tax and increase. So, you know, you let people know, because there's a lot more credit you deserve than they know.
So when I said that I was going to hire all these law enforcement professionals and bolster our numbers in law enforcement without raising taxes, the Democrats and the liberal media said that I would bankrupt the county. Well, guess what? I didn't raise taxes a penny in 4 years. As a matter of fact, I cut a $150 million tax increase of my predecessor. I eliminated that. And I've gotten 4 budget surpluses and 7 bond upgrades in 3 years. Unprecedented, because I am business friendly in my county. We invite business in. We cut red tape. We want businesses to come here. We want high net worth individuals in my county because they create economic activity and they create prosperity, where Kathy Hochul and Zoran Mandani are trying to run high net worth individuals out of our state. It's insane, absolutely crazy.
And they stifle entrepreneurs and development. But I did want you to mention one other thing before we wrap up, if you would. You have a lot of ties to New York City. You were on some boards there. You were involved in a lot. And I think people need to know that, because you were in New York City through Giuliani's time, correct? And,
yes.
and several other positive mayors who made a difference. So you've been both at the best of times and unfortunately at the worst of times in the city. But what would you want people to know about? Because even though you've got a lot of ties to New York City, your sympathies are with the suburban and rural areas of the state. Not your sympathies, but your understanding, I should say.
Yeah. So by the way, I've done business throughout the state of New York, whether it be in Erie County, in Monroe County, Onondaga County, you name it. Orange County. I've done business in all of those areas. I've traveled those areas. I have dear friends in all those communities. I'm traveling now all around the state, every little nook and cranny of the state I've been to, and it's a great state. One of the things that disturbs me more than anything else is that Kathy Hochul has completely turned her back on rural communities, small towns, small villages. They need help. On the southern tier of New York, we have one of the largest natural gas reserves in the world. Why are we not extracting that natural gas? Our electric rates are 70% higher than the national average. Wouldn't that help bring it down? And the green energy scam, it's just a scam putting all these solar panels on rich farmland upstate. Let me tell you something. Don't judge me by the geography where I grew up or where I live. Judge me by my policies. Judge me where my heart is. My heart is with the people in every community of New York State, whether rural, urban, suburban. Your issues are my issues. I care about them deeply. And you will have a governor that is a governor for all the people, no matter who you are or where you are.
Our time is limited, and I really appreciate you taking your time. 2 quick points I want to make. Number one, how powerful are executive orders, and what can you use your executive orders for in New York State to make a difference for all of us? Because I'm sure your people have looked at what authority and what you could eliminate or what you could mandate to help all of us. What would some?
Well, first of all, when I first became county executive, one of my first executive orders was to take the masks off our kids. The moms in our county were just so upset that their kids had to wear these masks, even after it was proven that it wasn't a danger to young people. My second executive order was to say that my county was not a sanctuary county. So I'll tell you this, Rich. On day one, on January 1st, when I become governor, my first executive order will be New York State is no longer a sanctuary state. We're not going to spend billions of dollars on illegal migrants. We're going to spend the money on New Yorkers, and we're going to get all the criminals that are legal migrants out of our state.
Bruce, I really appreciate it. I do want to invite you to our Veterans Barbecue on August 20th. I've talked to your people. If it's in your schedule, I have over 500 veterans. We have the largest district of veterans in the state, the congressional district, and they would love to hear from you, even for a few moments. If you can get in your schedule, I'll talk to your people. The only other thing I want to touch on is I thank you very much for taking the time, and perhaps in the early fall, we can do another full show on all your policies so that we can get as many people. I can get all my viewers. I told one woman, I said, well, you heard of Joe Rogan. He's got 60 million. I got 6. She goes, 6 million. I said, no, 6, my family. But any 6 help as long as they vote for Bruce Blakeman. Thank you very much. We really appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks, Sheriff, and thank you. Keep up the good work and keeping us safe in Fulton County. God bless you.
Thank you. God bless you, sir. Thank you for listening to the Rich Giardino podcast, where the Constitution, crime, and politics meet. We've had a special edition with Bruce Blakeman, Nassau County Executive and Republican candidate for governor. Please get out, register, and vote. I want to thank Bruce for taking the time to be with us. And I want to remind you, we're on Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, X, and all other premium podcast stations. Thank you very much for joining us.
Like and subscribe to The Rich Giardino Show, part of the Elite Influencer Network, wherever you get your podcasts. And we'll see you next time on The Rich Giardino Show, where the Constitution, crime, and politics meet.